The NFL Gambling Podcast on the Sports Gambling Podcast Network is brought to you by Edge Boost. Edge Boost enables you to double your bet with no interest. Go to sportsgamblingpodcast.com/edge to get started today.
I'm just about that action, boss.
You have to be kidding me. That is impossible.
I'm raising the ante. Anybody wants any deal?
Jordan Davis, dog. Jalen Hurts, dog. AJ Brown, dog. How many of you want to eat a W tonight?
Welcome in to another episode, wow, that was harsh, of the NFL Gambling Podcast here on the Sports Gambling Podcast Network. He is Ryan McIntyre. I'm Rod Villagomez, and we today are going to give you our power rankings, talk a little bit of odds around them, and then, of course, we will end the night by discussing day, night, whatever it is. I don't know. It's been a long weekend already. By discussing some DeAndre Hopkins news. Ryan, hi, buddy. It's been a while.
It has been a while, Rod. How are you, man? Hope you had a good Memorial Day weekend. I know you are in the Army, so it's always a special holiday. I think as a country, we forget why we take that day off as a country, so it's always good to reflect on those that have served this great country. Give us a chance to talk a little NFL power rankings on May the 30th.
May the 30th. Yeah. I mean, again, we always talk about how close the NFL season is getting, and it just continues to get closer each off-season episode. But yes, we are definitely going to take some time today to talk to you about some of our power rankings, because why not? I mean, this is the fun part about the off-season. We get to spend some time talking some craziness. And then, of course, we'll end it by talking about some power or some where we think DeAndre Hopkins should end up. But I think we should probably just start before we take our first ad break, just kind of talking about that craziness before we start placing him on a team. DeAndre Hopkins no longer going to be an Arizona Cardinal. I'm not surprised, Ryan, honestly.
No, and I think the Cardinals aren't even hiding that they're tanking this season. Obviously, you got the whole Kyler Murray situation. I don't know when he's going to be back. With this, not even having DeAndre Hopkins on the roster for this entire year, just getting rid of him, I don't think they're going to rush him back. I think they're going to be in the Caleb Williams sweepstakes or Drake May for North Carolina. So it'll be interesting to see what happens here. But, I mean, I think one thing is clear with this DeAndre Hopkins situation. The Cardinals are in the Caleb Williams number one draft pick sweepstakes.
Yeah, and listen, spoiler alert, the Cardinals will be nowhere near our top 10 in the power rankings. Not even close. In fact, if there was a bottom 10, I may not even put them in there because they're not even that good. So it's going to be very interesting. And as a Niner fan, I'll take the 2 free wins. So that's definitely something, because there's no way these Cardinals are going to compete. I'd be surprised if they won a game, if not 2 this season at all.
Yeah, hopefully they don't win week 1 because they go to Washington. So that would be embarrassing if my team laid an egg in week number 1. But it is the NFL. I'm sure they will pick off somebody or 1 or 2 teams along the way, just because if you're not ready to play in the NFL, especially a 17-game season, every given Sunday. So, I think the Cardinals, though, they have the lowest win total for a reason. They're by far the worst roster in football. So, yeah, number 1 pick, here they come, it looks like.
I mean, other than DeAndre Hopkins, it feels like it's just been kind of quiet lately. It just feels like it's sort of been not, the calm before the storm that is all of this. I know everybody's starting to report, right? Rookies and stuff like that are starting to report to their camps. We're not in full-fledged training camp mode yet, but obviously, OTAs around the corner. So I just feel like everybody's sort of biding their time until all of that madness starts, and then of course we'll start to see the burst of news. But obviously the DeAndre Hopkins news is the biggest, and that's where all of the clickbait is going right now. So it's definitely just gonna, I don't know, it's gonna take a second to figure it out. And once he actually does decide where to go, obviously the rest of the news will follow there. But we'll speculate on where we think he should end up later on in the show.
Yeah, I like to call this power ranking season because everybody, it seems like wherever you click on whatever network you want, hopefully you're getting your intel information from SGPN. The guys over at the main station have been doing this as well. As it's power ranking season. Everybody's ranking their quarterbacks, their teams, and we're going to rank our teams here today. And then it's positional power rankings, coach rankings. So, yeah, the calm before the storm. I think we got 15 weeks till week 1. So we're all just waiting for that first game to be kicked off.
Yeah. And as far as power rankings go, I mean, obviously these are hot topics, just obviously subject to debate, which that's why we're here in the first place. But when you're ranking teams based on what they did last season, obviously you got to take into account what they've done in the offseason to improve their team, or what they've done in the offseason to not improve their team. And really, power rankings are such a tricky beast anyways, because especially if you're a fan of one of those top 10 teams, because then you're screaming either they should be higher, or why did you put this team above this other team? And it's I don't know. To me, it's funny because, if you take a look at the power rankings from last season, I wonder where some of those top 10 teams ended up this year, or at the end of last year.
Yeah, I'm trying to remember who the public team was coming into the year. There wasn't really a team that just completely. Denver. Denver was the team that really disappointed everybody. Russell Wilson comes over from Seattle. Maybe the Jets are that team this year that disappoints. So we'll see if we have them in our power rankings. But just so everybody knows, J Mark had to sit this one out because he was going to put the Bears number 1. So we said, no, you got to sit this one out. So those asking where J Mark is. He's got the Bears up top number 1, so we said you got to sit this one out. So yeah.
Once we saw Chicago as the number 1 team, we were like, you know what? It's cool. Go ahead and handle what you got to handle this week. We got you, buddy.
Yeah, sit this one out.
Yeah, it's all good, but just we'll see you next week when we're not doing power rankings. And then positional power rankings too. Listen, Justin Fields can only be number 1 so many times before we say stop. We love you, J-Mac. We miss you. Hopefully come back soon.
No doubt.
All right. Let's step away for a quick break. When we come back, we will start into our power rankings and talking about the teams that we feel are going to be the 10 best, I suppose, in the league. So stick around. Let's tell you about Edge Boost. If you signed up for Edge Boost yet, look, you got to sign up for Edge Boost. I'm telling you right now, this is almost free money sitting in the bank. It's the world's first bet now, pay later Visa card. Well, what does that mean? It's similar to buy now, pay later programs. Edge Boost enables you to double your bet with no interest and pay back the advance over 4 equal weekly installments. 0% interest, $2,500 for free. We'll get to that in a second, but here's how you do it. You deposit funds into your account. Edge Boost is going to match the deposit so you can use twice the funds on any legal betting site. Edge is currently offering right now up to $2,500 in advances. Listen, we've given you a ton of futures bet over the last few weeks, right? If you don't want to tie up your money right now into those futures bets, sign up for Edge. Get that $2,500. Start placing those futures bets. And then, of course, start paying them back slowly over 4 weeks. But at least you don't have to put up your money right now in these futures bets. We talk about tying up money all the time. Don't tie it up. Tie Edge's money up. Use that for free. That's $2,500 right now in your bankroll for some of these futures bets. We'll give you the Edge double down play of the day later. But right now, go to sportsgamblingpodcast.com/edge to sign up today. That's sportsgamblingpodcast.com/edge. Must be 21 years or older to use. Only valid in legal gambling states. Problem gambling? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. All right. So as we said before the break, we are going to start breaking down our 10 best teams, our power rankings as they were, and take it with a grain of salt. I mean, if you don't agree, that's fine. Just tell us why in the comments. Obviously, we want to know. Maybe give us your power rankings. That way we can comment on yours as well. But Ryan, I think what we decided before is we'll just go ahead and talk through and talk down our 10 power ranked teams, and then kind of debate on where we differ or where we agree.
Sounds good. You want me to lead it off? I'll go 10 and then work my way back up to number 1. I'll lead it off number 10. I got the team. This team just seems to always underachieve, but they're still a talented roster, good young quarterback. I'll go the LA Chargers for my number 10. Number 9, I got a team that kind of was up and down. Mike McDaniel in his second year there. The big question mark, Tua, can he stay healthy? I got the Miami Dolphins, talented roster. Jalen Ramsey comes over at number 9. Number 8, I got another AFC team, and this is the team I kind of teased as my sleeper to maybe potentially make a run. Year 2 of the Doug Peterson, Trevor Lawrence marriage. I got the Jacksonville Jaguars at number 8. I can't remember ever having them as number 8 in the preseason, so I got them at number 8. Number 7, I got the guy that just got paid in Baltimore, Lamar Jackson, John Harbaugh, always talented. Got Odell Beckham coming over. I got them at number 7. Number 6 I got your guys over here. I just made a flip here. I got the San Francisco 49ers. I want to take them, put them higher, but I just don't know with the quarterback situation. It's arguably the best roster in football, but with the uncertainty of Sam Darnold, Trey Lance, Brock Purdy, if he's going to be available at all, I got them number 6. This is the one I just flipped. This pains me to say this, but I got the Dallas Cowboys at number 5. Hopefully I don't get fired for ranking them in the top 5, but hey, it's a reverse jinx because now they are going to definitely have a down year and disappoint everybody. So I got Dallas number 5, and this, I also hate to this. I got the Eagles, the other NFC East team, at number 4. Everybody knows how talented that roster is, offensive line, defensive line. Jalen Hurts headed into another big year. A little bit hesitant on the coordinator situation since both coordinators got head coaching jobs. So Nick Sirianni's got his work cut out. And then 3, 2, 1, I got the 3 best quarterbacks in the NFL, in my opinion. I'll go the Bengals number 3 right now just because of the offensive line issues of last year, although they were able to patch them together late in the year. I got them number 3. Number 2, the team that kind of disappointed everybody, I thought, a little bit, but they get everybody back. Stephon Diggs and potentially DeAndre Hopkins. We'll talk about that pairing if that does come to fruition. Year 2, post Brian Daboll for the Buffalo Bills for Josh Allen. So I got Josh Allen and the Bills at number 2, and I am going to keep this team number 1 until somebody beats them. Patrick Mahomes, Andy Reid are number 1 in the power rankings for me headed into the NFL season as of May 30th.
I love it. Okay, well then let me load up mine. Listen, I'm going to go ahead and put the Jets at 10. I'm going to get feisty. They were not too far. They were 7-10 last year. If you think Aaron Rodgers is going to be good enough for at least a 10 win season, if you think that he's good enough for 3 more wins, I think that could happen. I'll go ahead and get feisty and put the Jets down there at 10 because why not? And then I'm going to throw the Jacksonville Jaguars in there at number 9, just because the same thing as you, right? I mean, obviously it's a team you can't ignore. And I was going to put them at 10. I was going to put the Jags at 10, but I decided that I would put them at least a notch above. If I was going to put the Jets in the power rankings, I might as well put the Jaguars, who are a little more established, in there over it. I'm going to go ahead and add the Chargers over there at the 8th spot. Again, I think they're just right on the cusp. It's Herbert, right? Herbert is the reason that they're still as good as they are. So you have to kind of give that nod. I could very easily see them not being in the top 10. I could. So that's why it's like 8th is, I think, perfect enough for them until proven otherwise. I'm going to put the Cowboys at 7. I don't think they're in the top 5, and almost don't think they're in the top 10 either, but I can't make a case for them above teams like Seattle, Green Bay, New England. Like I can't do it. So I've got to at least put them in there. I'm going to go ahead and put the Vikings over there at 6 because I think that the Vikings are still going to be okay, but I don't think they're going to be within the top 5 of this whole thing, right? So I'm going to go ahead and put them there. And then I've got the Ravens, which I still think is going to be a good team. And now they've got more power behind them, right? And Lamar Jackson is there. So I like that. Then, of course, I'll put the Niners. It's, again, quarterback situation. Who knows? It's just a matter of whether or not they can get Purdy ready for the season, or if we've got to roll with Sam Darnold, which I've already made my stance clear on that one. And then, of course, just like you, it's the Bills, it's the Eagles, it's the Chiefs. Those 3 teams are there as well. So I think did I leave out the Bengals? I left out.
I think you left out the Bengals. If you had to put the Bengals in there, I'm assuming you're thinking top 4 as well for the Bengals.
It's Bengals. Yeah, it's Bengals. It's Bengals, Bills, Eagles, and Chiefs. Those are the 4.
Yeah.
So,
I would say that's probably the consensus for everybody, top 4 wise. I mean, I know you could probably, if San Francisco's healthy and we knew more about the quarterback situation, I think you could make an argument for them being in the top 3. They played at that kind of level from about week 8 when they got Christian McCaffrey on, but they have the issues at the quarterback position right now. So I think there's some hesitations. It seems like we kind of agree as well, 5 through 10 in some form or fashion. You like the Jets. I liked, I think the Dolphins. So we differed on the AFC East teams. For me, I want to see the Jets before I crown them. Like they still were a 7-10 team last year. They are the New York Jets, and I don't know. You see Rodgers. He's at the Taylor Swift concert right now. He's definitely on cloud 9. He's happy to be a Jet, but as soon as he gets hit the first time or one of his wide receivers drops the ball, is he still going to be happy? Is it still going to be roses and peaches there in New York? So I had the Jets right outside the top 10, though. I mean, it wasn't like, oh, I had them down there at 18 or 19. I think that they're a talented roster.
Well, and really, when it comes down to it at the end, I really believe that the Dolphins and the Jets will be a lot closer than a lot of people are going to give them credit for, because, with Aaron Rodgers, that is I hate to say it's an upgrade. It really is. It doesn't matter if it's Aaron Rodgers, at the back end of his career, like that's still an upgrade over whatever they've had over the last few seasons. So it's not a matter of whether or not he can get it done. It's really, will he get it done in that? And you're right too. He's going to have to weather some storms. Like, I don't think this is going to be, a 14-win season for him, but hell, if he can get to 10 again, that's an improvement for this team.
Yeah. I think you hit the nail right on the head. Like, I think that who finishes ahead between the Dolphins and Jets probably comes down to who wins the head-to-head matchups, if they don't just split, or how they do against Buffalo. If you had to take a team outside the top 10 that you would not be surprised at all if they worked themselves into the 10-5 range, who would you say?
The 10-5 range? The Steelers.
Yeah.
I would say, because they're on the cusp. I feel like they were close last year to kind of breaking through, and they just had to weather through that. I mean, they barely made it to their over 500 for their head coach, but it's a matter of whether or not I think they can take that next step. So I feel like they can. I mean, I feel like there's a lot of power in the AFC, right? We talked about it before we even got on. The AFC is full of power, but by the same token, there's also a lot of room for improvement, a la the Jets, the Dolphins, the Patriots, even, those are the teams that you can kind of leapfrog if you can get over them. And if you're the Steelers, that's what you got to take advantage of, those types of situations.
Yeah, I agree. I agree with the Steelers. Young quarterback. If I had to choose somebody outside my top 10 that could make a jump, I would go with actually probably the Detroit Lions. I know that we've kind of labeled them as they're getting a lot of hype, but the reason they're getting a lot of hype is because they finished just like Jacksonville is one of the hottest teams in the NFL in the second half. I almost ranked them in the top 10 just based off what I saw. So I'd probably say the Detroit Lions. You know what? Actually, I'll make a tweak in my thing. I'll put them in for the Chargers because they finished strong and the Chargers didn't. So I'll say the Detroit Lions as my number 10. They crack into my initial top 10. But yeah, no, I think it was funny us both breaking down the Chargers. It kind of was the same thing. Roster's good. Don't trust them. Justin Herbert is good, but once again, just don't trust Brandon Staley in that whole organization.
No, for sure. All right, we'll continue this conversation on the other end. Got to take another break, but when we come back, we will continue that and then tell you where we think DeAndre Hopkins is going to go. But we've got a contest for you to enter. It's brand, it's free, and it's all kinds of fun, and it's for the NBA Finals. Where can you find this contest? Where you find all of our contests exclusively on the SGPN app. You got series props, you got games props, plus a $100 SGPN gift card is up for grabs. Go right now, download the SGPN app, enter today for your chance to win this NBA Finals contest and your $100 SGPN gift card. All right, we have Nick Fortune in the chat. He says he would rather bet on Steelers to get that record than the Ravens. Okay, but I think with Lamar getting paid now, that might be the. I don't know that you saw the best of Lamar in this contract. I think he was just. I know it was a contract year, but even still, now that he's got that out of the way, I think he's going to be better. And then, of course, Nick says, bold statement, Detroit Lions have better record than Chicago Bears for the regular season. Your buddy Justin's not going to be thrilled with that statement, but whatever. You guys can hash that out. You see each other more.
Yeah, no, I don't know if it's as bold, only bold to J Mark. For the Ravens Steelers debate, that's an interesting one. I like both teams. We both like both teams. I think it really just comes down to which team is healthier in December. Last couple of years, Baltimore's just been really, really banged up, especially at quarterback position with Lamar. So if Lamar's healthy and the rest of their team's healthy, I think Baltimore's probably the better roster top to bottom. But if they're banged up once again and Lamar's not Lamar coming down the stretch, then I think Kenny Pickett and the Steelers could definitely probably overtake the Ravens for one of those last wild card spots.
Or
even the division.
But in terms of odds are concerned, let's take a look at what the books are saying is their power rankings, and I'm taking this as going from the 10th best odds to win the Super Bowl, the 10th longest odds to win the Super Bowl, all the way up to the first. So it begins with the Miami Dolphins. They are 22-1 to win the Super Bowl. The Lions are also 22-1 at 9th. Ravens at 20-1. Jets at 18-1. So see. They value those. Cowboys at 14-1, Cincinnati 11-1, Niners at 10-1, Bills at 9-1, Eagles at 6.5-1, and Kansas City at 6-1 to win the World Series, win the Super Bowl. I'm looking at MLB right now. So again, it's the Dolphins, the Lions, the Ravens, the Jets, the Cowboys, the Bengals, the Niners, the Bills, Eagles, and the Chiefs. So the top three, right, are the same in everybody's book. It's all the Bills, Eagles, and Chiefs. But are you surprised to see the Jets at 18-1 over the Ravens, the Lions, and the Dolphins, and the Chargers? By all means, the Jaguars are at 25 and the Chargers are at 25, so they're just sitting right outside of the top 10.
Yeah, no, I'm not really surprised with the Jets. I think that they're a little inflated right now because the Aaron Rodgers, he's a significant upgrade from Zach Wilson. They're kind of the sexy toy in this offseason. And everybody wants to bet on him because it's New York, the New York media, and then you got a guy like Aaron Rodgers that's been around for so long, first ballot Hall of Famer here in a couple years. So, but no, I mean, it's interesting that my Detroit Lions top 10 actually is not that bold. If the odds makers have him, ninth? So yeah, no, I'd like. I was a little surprised that the Jaguars are that low, but maybe they are expecting a little bit of regression here. Because they played such a bad division, I guess.
Well, and what's crazy, so we've taken a look at the division winners, right? And we didn't necessarily set up some Super Bowl odds, but when you look at these guys in terms of their own conference, you talk about the guys that we talked about. So the Dolphins, right, 11-1 to win the AFC. The Jets 11-1 to win the AFC. Yeah. Bengals at 5.5-1. Bills at 5-1. Chiefs at 3.3-1 to win the AFC. So those are the teams that we talked about within that range. Jaguars are 12-1, Ravens are 11-1, Chargers are 13-1 to win. So of all the ones that we mentioned, I'm telling you right now, I still don't know that I'm going to take the Jets at 11-1 to win the AFC. That's That seems to me crazy to have them over the Ravens even. That's the same, I guess, odds as the Ravens at 11-1, but even still, the Jaguars at 12-1 still seem to have more promise than the Jets right now. And of course the Chargers, we talked about the Chargers, but the Steelers sitting there at 22-1, that would intrigue me, just to take something if I was to take a long shot.
Yeah, and I think we just continue the theme of what we've talked about throughout the NFL Gambling Podcast this offseason. You take out the AFC South and maybe the Raiders now. You take out those three teams and then the Raiders. The AFC is absolutely loaded top to bottom, especially at the quarterback position. And it all starts with Mahomes, Allen, and Burrow up top. Those three guys are – I don't think it's really a debate. Those are the three best quarterbacks in the NFL, not just the AFC. Then you get the next tier where you got Aaron Rodgers, you got Justin Herbert, you got Tua, Lamar Jackson. You got former MVPs everywhere. You got Deshaun Watson, who was an MVP candidate at one time. You got Russell Wilson, who was just an MVP candidate a couple years ago. Maybe in a bounce back with Sean Payton. Then you got the Pittsburgh Steelers with Kenny Pickett, Mac Jones, with Bill O'Brien as his offensive coordinator. It's just a top to bottom. The AFC is just so much better than the NFC on paper headed into this year.
Yeah. And again, it's just, I feel like until otherwise proven, it's just going to remain that way. And the NFC has to really step up their game. And it's not as if they're without big names themselves over there. I mean, obviously Jalen Hurts, I guess say Brock Purdy now, but whatever. Dak Prescott, and even Geno Smith is in the conversation for a big name, a big but a big guy that's making some noise lately. So yeah, I mean, the drop off is there. So let's look at the NFC odds for the conference. We talked about the Lions. They're at 10-1, Cowboys at 6-1 to win the NFC. Niners at 425 plus 425 to win, and the Eagles at plus 250 to win the NFC as a whole. No surprises, obviously, as we talked about what there were. I mean, the drop off from there is the Seahawks at 11-1, Saints at 13-1. Really, we're going to give the Saints the nod to win. And then, of course, the Vikings at 14-1 as another team we talked about in our power rankings. So, I mean, Derek Carr, you think he can make that much of a noise to give the Saints a 13-1 chance to win the NFC?
No, I don't think so. But I mean, they are in a bad division too. It's kind of like with Jacksonville and the AFC South. The NFC South's not very good either. You got Carolina, rookie quarterback with Bryce Young. You got Atlanta with Desmond Ridder or Taylor Heineke, whoever. I assume they're going to give Ridder the nod, but they always got Heineke. And then Tampa Bay, they're going to be a dumpster fire. So Baker Mayfield. So yeah, no, I guess their odds are that low just because maybe they're just they know they're probably going to win that division, and if you win that division, at least you're in the dance. So, what do I think of Washington having a higher odds than Minnesota? Not surprised. They got a better quarterback, Kirk Cousins, our former quarterback.
Yeah, and that's the thing too. Like when you talk about what the Vikings have, they still have a talented roster. I mean, it's not even as if they don't. Like they got talented receivers. Kirk Cousins is still good unless it's prime time, but it's just a matter of I don't know what it is that's lacking with that team to put it all together and to make a deeper run. Maybe they do need Stephon Diggs back. Who knows? Maybe they need another guy, another veteran receiver that is going to make an impact that can play alongside Justin Jefferson, which is somebody we'll talk about right now. I mean, I think we've put these odds to bed. I feel like we've covered the power rankings and their impact on the odds well enough, right? How about we move over to some wide receiver talk like we talked about on the outset, obviously DeAndre Hopkins no longer going to be an Arizona Cardinals wide receiver. That means that he is a free agent and basically can go wherever he is wanted. But the question is, where is he wanted and what makes sense for him? And I'm just going to say right now, the obvious. I really feel like going back to Houston would not be a bad idea for DeAndre Hopkins, given that that team needs him back.
Yeah, I guess if he just wants to go get paid, that would be an option. But I think with what stage he is in his career, he's headed into what year is he? He's already in his 10th year in the NFL. So wow, you blink and he's already headed into his 10th year in the NFL. I would assume he probably wants to join one of the contenders, and chase maybe a ring, kind of like Odell Beckham's done with the Rams, and then now he's with the Baltimore Ravens. He's battled the injury bug these last couple of years, or suspensions in his case sometimes. Um, he hasn't had a 1,000-yard season since 2020, but before that, I mean, he had 4 straight. He was one of the elite receivers in the league, 4 straight seasons over 1,100 yards. And he had 100 catches in 3 out of those 4 years. The only year being 96th year, he didn't get to 100. And then obviously double-digit touchdowns at 13, 11, and then he had a 7 and 6. So he's definitely lost a step compared to where he was around 2019, 2020 when he had him and Deshaun Watson. But he's still one of the better solid receivers. I would say if he joins a really, really good team like a Buffalo, like a Kansas City, in Buffalo, he'd be a perfect fit with Stephon Diggs. That's where I personally think he's going to go. And I think it would just be another weapon for Josh Allen, another guy over the top, another possession guy. Kansas City, they don't really have that number one wide receiver. Their number one wide receiver is their tight end, Travis Kelce. So I would say those two are kind of playing keep away, trying to see who can get him and keep it away from the other one to push him over the top.
Kansas City would be intriguing to put him with Patrick Mahomes. Obviously, we know that DeAndre Hopkins can still make big plays. That's not out of the question. And I just feel like those last couple of seasons in Arizona, he never had he never had a Patrick Mahomes. Like, you can say what you want about Kyler Murray, but he's not one of the elites. Like, he's not a guy that is going to make a wide receiver's career, right? Because obviously you can't be a Hall of Fame wide receiver without some kind of quarterback to get you there. I mean, if you got a really junk quarterback, it's not going to get you the yardage that you need to be a Hall of Fame wide receiver. So, and you know, you can argue that DeAndre Hopkins has made the best out of bad situations before too, but he's still a talented wide receiver that if he got the right quarterback toward the end of his career, he can still make great plays. The last couple of seasons, you're right, have been dismal for him with Arizona, 572, 717. I mean, you can't stake a career on something like that. So if you put him back with another quarterback, I'm sure he's in line for 1,500 yards or 1,400 yards. Well, maybe not that many. Well, I don't know. There's 17 games. You can kind of get there again. But on a Kansas City, I think he could at least get 1,200 yards on a team like Kansas City. He can get 1,200 yards out of Patrick Mahomes.
Yeah, Patrick Mahomes can make anybody go for almost 1,200 yards if he just throws him the ball. You see what Juju did last year with just going back. He almost had 1,000 yards, 80 catches, and then he got a contract out of it just with playing with Patrick Mahomes for a year. So yeah, I mean, if that's the route he wants to go, I think it's a smart one. I think definitely Kansas City or Buffalo if he wants to win a ring.
So if you want to look at contenders, as far as we talked about him wanting to get a ring, Philly, obviously a place to go, but they've already got A.J. Brown. I don't know that they can support A.J. Brown and DeAndre Hopkins because, you know, Hopkins is going to want to be the guy. He's going to want to be the man. I don't know that he can take too big of a back seat to a guy like A.J. Brown on that roster. How about you?
Yeah, I don't think they can afford DeAndre Hopkins. Like you said, AJ Brown talented, but I don't think they have room for another guy like DeAndre Hopkins. So I don't think the Eagles are a fit.
Yeah, I can't see that happening either. Minnesota, anything for Minnesota? I mean, obviously they're not as in contention as these other teams, but maybe they're a DeAndre Hopkins away from it. I don't know.
I don't think so. Just because there's too many chefs in the kitchen there, Justin Jefferson, and then they just got the rookie from USC, Jordan Addison. So I don't really see Minnesota either.
Yep. San Francisco, they've got Debo, they've got Ayuk. Like, I don't know, DeAndre Hopkins. I don't know that he'd make too much of a difference in that offense because again, they don't go deep very often nowadays. It's run the ball and it's throw underneath, right? I mean, they'll turn Debo loose every once in a while. They'll throw to Ayuk every once in a while, but that team is not predicated on a DeAndre Hopkins style offense.
Yeah, I don't see the fit there, but it would be intriguing if they were to make that move because, I mean, it'd be another talented guy that would fit right in with San Francisco. But I'm with you with the way that they want to play offense with Kyle Shanahan. I think they like more of those possession guys.
I mean, I'm not going to say I would hate it as a Niners fan. I would definitely love to have another wide receiver in the mix like that. But again, I mean, we seem to be turning good wide receivers over with every single time we pick up the ball. So I'm okay with not having him if that is the case, as long as he doesn't end up on like Seattle or something like that. So yeah, don't let him end up on Seattle or LA. I mean, either one of those other teams. LA seems a little bit intriguing, but maybe not.
Yeah, and I don't really see LA either, just because they already got Cooper Kupp, and I don't think they're one piece away from winning it.
No, they're really not, and not a wide receiver away from winning it either. I don't know, Bengals, Cowboys, Ravens, those three teams. Anything make you say ooh in that?
Ravens are intriguing just because they already got Odell. They added DeAndre Hopkins. I think whenever there's a sexy name out on the block, I think Dallas is always a player, especially with Jerry Jones. He's already played at Houston. Maybe he goes over to Dallas. I think Dallas is a dark horse here. Just pair him up with CeeDee Lamb. They like having talented wide receivers in Dallas, so I think they're definitely a player.
That actually makes a little more sense to me than maybe the Bills, even as far as just having CeeDee Lamb and DeAndre Hopkins, because both of those guys, then it's who do you cover? You know what I'm saying? Like you can't cover both of them at the same time with double coverage, because then one of their new tight ends will rip you up, and it's just yeah. I could see DeAndre going over to Dallas and probably feeling like that would be a good fit for him.
The only ironic thing is that they just signed Brandon Cooks too.
Oh,
so they have Brandon Cooks with CeeDee Lamb. They got Michael Gallup. A lot of guys that struggle to stay healthy. So DeAndre Hopkins would fit right in.
You gotta love it. Yeah, I mean, other than that, look, it's just a matter of, I feel like he can kind of punch his own ticket at this point. I know there's a lot of teams that would probably love to have his services. Affording him might be a different story as well. But as far as who he goes to, that's one thing. But who does he improve enough, Ryan? If we're taking a look at this, who do you think he improves enough to take it to that next level? As far as where his services are really going to make the difference in odds and in shifting odds and in bringing us closer to being able to bet on a team.
I don't know if he really moves the needle as much, because I think he's going to go to either Kansas City or Buffalo. Those two teams are already at the top of the Super Bowl market. But I think, who does he probably improve the most? I probably would say Kansas City, just because, like you said, they kind of had that void for the number one receivers. Valdez-Scantling is projected as their number one receiver with Kadarius Toney. So they have a big hole right there. Slide DeAndre Hopkins in, gives them a vet. Like we already said, though, if he does go to Buffalo, I mean, that's a really good 1-2 punch with Diggs and Hopkins, and then you would with Gabe Davis in the slot. So I think one of those two teams is moves the needle a little bit, but not too much. I mean, they're already at the top of the betting markets for a reason, because they have the best quarterbacks and better rosters in football.
Wonder how long it's going to take for us to figure out, or for us to find out where he
could be any minute.
Yeah, you think so?
Who knows? I mean, I would assume that they're probably going to move quick. It'll probably be done this week.
Yeah, I would think that he doesn't want to be sitting out on the open market for too long. Obviously, we know that not only does that kind of erode your price, but it also kind of, as teams start to solidify their rosters and their camp rosters, kind of gives you, I don't know. But with DeAndre Hopkins, I'm sure they'd make room at the table. I don't think there's a way for them to not at this point.
Yeah.
So, All right. Well, I feel like we've thoroughly covered what we were intending to cover today. Ryan, how about you?
Yeah, like you said, this is more the downtime of the NFL, but we're here to bring you content year round. So we'll cover the stories as they go along. You never know. Something might break here in the next couple hours. So make sure you follow the NFL Gambling Podcast and just all our different platforms. So get your latest up-to-date NFL news.
Indeed. Well, then, as we wrap things up for the folks not watching on YouTube, why don't you let everybody know where they can find you on social media?
Yep, for the YouTube crowd watching, and make sure you go check us out on YouTube. We're going to start trying to schedule these out, so make sure your notifications are turned on. I know Moonoff set the thing up today where everybody knew we were going live at 2 Eastern, 11 your time on the Pacific, Rod. So yeah, no, I mean, if you got your notifications turned on, you'll just get a quick notification that we're going to go live at this time, and we're going to do our best to be able to stick to that exact time and give you guys a bit of a notice so that you guys can plan around. But yeah, back to your original question. At Moneyline_Mac is my Twitter handle. Hit me up anytime. I'm looking forward to talking NFL with you guys for year number 2 on the NFL Gambling Podcast, and season will be here before we know it.
It will certainly be here before we know it, and that's what we're all looking forward to. Follow me on Twitter at RJ Villagomez. Link in the bio to everything I got going on. Follow the NASCAR Gambling Podcast. We had a hellacious weekend this weekend with the Coke 600. Of course, Monaco, Indianapolis, all the great racing that was happening. Follow that along there. Link in the bio, like I said, everything I got going on. We'll be back again next week with some more content for the NFL Gambling Podcast. But until then, have fun, everybody, and I hope you enjoyed your weekend. And we'll see you next time. Let it ride.